tolerance actually allows us to experience um, things that you might necessarily have experienced in your world,
Yeah.
on a day-to-day basis normally, but it kind of opens you up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because like you said, we're not quick to cast that, to cast judgments, right? And I think with tolerance has to come that understanding of also knowing that you meet people where they are. You don't necessarily have to be on the same bandwagon,
Right.
but you're tolerant enough to listen. And I think that's one of the key positive attributes that I like about tolerance. It helps you engage with with a listening ear that with an effective listening ear, effective and an active listening ear.
It's a learning process. Yeah.
Right?
It's a learning. And it's very intentional.
Tolerance.
It's very intentional.
Welcome to the Circle, where we tap into the journey of life, spirituality, and wellness. We are the BoujAunties. Hi guys. So today I'm excited. I'm excited because we have a new BoujAuntie. Nikki, I know you guys have seen her before on another one of our videos, right, Nikki? You did a few
about what was it? Core values.
Right, we were talking about core values. So you guys are kind of familiar with her face, on our core values segment. And you guys are probably familiar with her voice, Nieces and Nephews, in the background. So Nikki is sitting in today for Khadijah because Khadijah is traveling, having a good time, enjoying Sunseeing Land, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Hopefully she brings back some of that sunshine for us, right? Shout out to Khadijah.
Yes.
Right? Having a good time.
Missed.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. Okay, but today we want to discuss tolerance and acceptance, right? How does it show up for us? What do we understand it to be? How do we use it in our daily lives? So, you and I have had a lot of conversations around things that involve tolerance and acceptance. What does that mean for you? Tolerance and acceptance.
Tolerance to me is when I can be around something and not have something that maybe I don't necessarily agree with, but um, not have negativity toward it.
Okay.
Yeah, not have like judgment. Excuse me, and you know, just letting people be who they are.
Okay.
And letting things, be what they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. When I think about tolerance, I think it's an ethical way of being. Like like you said, you're allowing someone to be themselves. You mightn't agree with what it is they're showing you, or how they may be showing up, or what it is they might be saying, or the description of who they are. But because the person might be coming from a good place, it's leaving it's like giving them permission to show you further what is going to unfold.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're not casting any judgment, but you're in a place where it's like you're not gonna rush the process.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
So last week we were talking about patience. And to me, tolerance and patience kind of straddle the same line of sorts, or what, like they say, they're the two sides of the same coin kind of thing, right? It seems as though they go kind of hand in hand.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you gotta have patience.
Yeah.
You know, with tolerance.
Right, right,
Yeah.
right. But just like patience, do you think that sometimes we could be tolerant about the wrong things?
Yeah, we all are a little ratchet.
Oh my God.
We're all working through things, right? We're
Right.
all on this journey. So
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times it's about what we got going on.
Right.
The tolerance for the BS
Right.
is about what we have going on because, you know, sometimes we're not ready to deal with it in a certain way. We're not ready to address it. And you know, you hope other people have tolerance.
To see that to see that you're not tolerant of the BS.
Yes, yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, but it's a really and I think the reason why we're talking about these different attributes is, like you said, it probably shows up a lot for us in our lives, you know, as something that we are probably abusing or not using enough, you know? So, tolerance is it's one of those things that you kind of have to know when to implement it and how, right? So you have to know when to switch it on and when to switch it off, because just like patience, you don't want it to become detrimental to you as an individual or the situation that you're dealing with.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I really honestly think that with children you could be tolerant, but with and with adults, but I think for it's harder with adults, right? Nieces and nephews, like, come on.
Harder. I'm glad you said that because I worked with children for a long time.
Yeah.
Special needs children in particular. And, you know, I worked with teenagers as well. And so, like, I remember, you know, being out with them, and sometimes, you know, with physical disabilities, it's easy to have more tolerance because it's obvious, you know, of certain things that you may see. With the cognitive disabilities, though, it's a little more difficult for people. I remember having to explain to people sometimes, like, hey, you know, like, this is the situation,
right?
You know, because the judgment, the looks, these things would come up very quickly when you see someone of a certain age and size that you expect to act a certain way, right? And you don't really understand what's going on with them, and you just have this judgment because they're not conforming, they're not acting how they're supposed to act in society.
In societal norms.
Yeah.
Right.
So I remember dealing with that a lot and having to explain to people and, you know, encourage the tolerance a little bit.
Right.
And, you know, it helped me to bring my tolerance for adults and, you know, kind of put away more of the judgment that I had.
Right.
Because I remember, like, okay, that this might be the perception of the situation, but I don't really know the true situation.
Right.
You know, it could be anything going on.
Right.
But that experience really helped me to build my tolerance.
Wow.
Yeah.
And just like you were saying, I think tolerance make you realize that we're always striving to be better. It's like I don't want to say a plateau, but it's a platform actually that's there to make us realize that nothing is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everything has you have to give things room or breathing space, you know.
Well, that's
to,
acceptance. That's acceptance.
right?
You know?
So you think with tolerance,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a level of acceptance
Mm-hmm.
that we need to go through, you know. That's why I guess tolerance and acceptance also goes kind of hand in hand,
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Right.
Definitely.
You know, because it makes you realize that there's always room for growth.
Mm-hmm. It keeps your blood pressure down.
Yeah.
It keeps your blood pressure down, man.
It sure
Because boy, I
does.
tell you,
It sure does.
when I, when I don't have acceptance for things,
Yeah.
it's not good.
No.
It's not good because my whole mental is off. Like, and then that transfers physically for me very quickly. So yeah.
How does it transfer for you physically? Like when it's transferred, how does it show up for you in your physical?
Lack of sleep. Yeah. Depending on what's going on. Lack or low quality sleep.
Right.
More accurately, yeah.
Really?
Low quality sleep. Um, and then I just get like I just want to be away from everything.
Really?
Yeah, I want to be by myself, just no input.
Right. So you isolate kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
When acceptance makes you come to a place of deep realization that a situation is what it is supposed to be in that moment. And it sounds like if I'm talking about tolerance again, but it makes you tolerate also, right? So yeah, acceptance and tolerance are two sides of the same coin, right?
Yeah.
If we're able to tolerate something, we're able to accept what that something or situation is giving at that moment.
Or I think maybe if we're able to accept something,
Yeah.
it leads to tolerance.
Tolerant. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it makes us even deal with the reality of a situation as opposed to wishing that it was something else.
Yeah, it gives you a sense of peace.
Right.
It gives you a sense of peace about something, even though it may be rough or something that you don't agree with. It helps you to be more open-minded and have a sense, and truthful, and have a sense of peace within you about the situation.
Right. Yeah. What do you think what are those situations that you think you lack tolerance in, or that you can probably I think
managing adults.
Oh my gosh,
that's
yes.
big. That's big for me. It's like I just my patience level, my acceptance level, like when I have to tell you what to do. And see, this is the thing too. Remember, I said I dealt with special needs children, right? And so, like with the younger kids, people had more tolerance, but with the older kids I dealt with, it was like I had to like step in more often, So it's like, I would see something or hear something, and then it's just like, oh gosh, and then I remember, okay, well, maybe this might be the situation, or maybe I just have to like talk myself down and say, okay, I don't know everything about what's going on, so just be calm, be open-minded, and just allow people to be who they are and do what they do. So I think like my lack of tolerance really comes up when I see adults doing BS.
Really?
Yeah.
BS like? I want to hear. Like not demonstrating the level of intelligence you think that they...
Well, not having consideration. So, like if you're sharing space with people and, you don't respect the space, you don't have consideration for others in the space, that's a big thing for me. Yeah, that's a big thing for me.
Right. And how does acceptance come into play to change? Does it to change that situation or to not have you?
Acceptance comes in when it's like, okay, you can't control everybody. You can only control yourself.
Right.
And either you say something about it or you ignore it.
Right.
You know, but stressing over it it's not the move.
Right.
So it's like it's just helped me to pick my battles. It's
right.
like is it worth me addressing the situation, or can I just find a way to ignore it and or you know have some compassion,
right,
and you know come from more of a like a teaching aspect,
right,
you know,
right,
and try to be helpful in the situation than having judgment,
right,
you know,
right.
because nobody's perfect.
That you see, and that's what it comes back to again. It allows for us to realize that, you know, everyone is worthy of experiencing growth in their own time.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes, too, I think as far as tolerance, when we talk about tolerance, people think that we want you to sit there and again be like you know, like Job, you know,
Mm-hmm.
long suffering, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, somebody whipping you and you're not, you know, like they slap you in your face, and what did it say in the Bible?
Right.
Turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So just like patience and acceptance, I think the way we use tolerance, there's also strategy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and a level of knowingness
Mm-hmm.
that comes along with using tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because you could push your hand in fire, right? And I'm sure you like, if you like heat, you could stay there long enough.
Yeah.
But if you tolerate the heat too long, guess what? It doesn't take away from the fact that your finger is gonna be charred by the time you pull it back.
Right.
You're gonna have nerve damage, you know. So that is a key point in when we are describing attributes like tolerance. We're not saying that it's something that should be used to your detriment,
Right.
but actually to your enlightenment.
Right.
You know, and if you're strategic enough, these words are coming up, these keywords in, you know, our discussions are coming up. If one of the ways in learning how to demonstrate tolerance effectively is like it all comes back to self, right? What you are willing to open up yourself to learn about.
Exactly.
Right. Right?
Exactly, yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, it has to be, we have,
You have
to
to
be,
humble yourself.
we have to, humility has to be something that we need to, you know, to demonstrate, you know. And with tolerance, again, sometimes we do tolerate the wrong things, you know. Look at domestic violence. Domestic violence is easily a situation where we push our boundaries. And I think that's what tolerance also makes you do.
Yeah.
It pushes boundaries on you to see what it is that you are willing to maintain, what it is that you are willing to sustain, you know, in terms of dealing with relationships, right? And I think it's one of those principles that allows us to really check in with our worthiness, you know, as far as self, because it can make you really question, like, okay, like, what am I doing here? The other day we were talking about core values, and tolerance is one of those boundaries that actually allows us to realize what core values we have, or what core values we need to implement when we need to.
Yeah.
to make sure that we are secure in how we are dealing with others, right? So as weight bearing as the word sounds, it's actually a word that allows us a lot of freedom. When you shed light on how we're using it, if you're using it strategically,
right.
you know. Um, Acceptance in a lot of ways can is also another attribute that we need to implement a lot in life, because in acceptance you can actually welcome huge shifts.
I think acceptance helps you to find your power.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think it helps you to find your power.
All
just like knowing what's within your control and what's outside of your control.
Right.
And then moving in a certain direction, like you said, it allows you to create shifts.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. With acceptance, do you think sometimes, okay, like we said, so going back to the domestic violence situation, right? Do you think in those situations, acceptance and tolerance shows up on more or less the negative side, in the way that it manifests itself?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not speaking from personal experience directly.
Right, right.
But I do, okay, so I guess I am, because I wasn't the one, being physically hit.
Right.
But I was in a situation where I was witnessing domestic violence.
Right.
And yeah, I think it does show up on the negative side. Like you said, tying into your self-worth. Yeah, I remember having conversations like, girl,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah, right.
What are you doing? And it wasn't even like it had to be like a tough love type of conversation, with this person, because I just needed her to snap out of it, snap out of being a victim, being okay with allowing someone that's supposed to be so close to her, to harm her in that way.
Right.
And also, I didn't want it to come in and affect me,
right,
as well. So
right.
I'm like, I had to find my boundary of like, how much am I willing to be involved in this situation?
Right.
Because this is somebody that I care about, but also, like, I'm not about to be in the same situation.
Exactly. Right.
So, yeah, that was tough.
Right.
That was tough.
Right.
It was tough, because I had to like really, really talk to her about how her daughter would be affected.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And
I don't think she really, well, I don't know. Who's to say? But it didn't seem to me like she really took that into consideration. Like she understood like the gravity.
Yeah.
Of, her daughter's mental and physical well-being.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And talking about mental and physical well-being, tolerance allows us to take that into consideration also, and along with acceptance, right? When we come to when you see situations and accept situations for what they are, they make you apply a more realistic portion of yourself or part of yourself, right? And it also makes you take into consideration more of what you're trying to achieve for yourself. So at least your vision is more, it's solid, it's more recognizable, right? Because it connects you to something a bit more tangible, you know? How do you think acceptance and tolerance shows up in our society today, or if it does at all?
I think the biggest, I guess the biggest example I can say right now is with gender, the whole gender conversation.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest thing right now. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And you see, that acceptance and tolerance, it's a deep conversation, because guess what? Tolerance, like we said before, or I think I was saying it before, that tolerance is kind of like that line that draws that boundary, right? And now we live in a society where, people look a certain way, but they want to be called something else. And it's a very almost chaotic and confusing ride that we're riding on right now. And tolerance actually allows us to experience things that you might necessarily have experienced in your world, on a day-to-day basis normally. But it kind of opens you up a little bit more. Because like you said, we're not quick to cast that, to cast judgments, right? And I think with tolerance has to come that understanding of also knowing that you meet people where they are. You don't necessarily have to be on the same bandwagon, but you're tolerant enough to listen. And I think that's one of the key positive attributes that I like about tolerance. It helps you engage with with a listening ear with an effective listening ear, and an active listening ear.
It's a learning process. Yeah.
Right?
It's a learning. And it's very intentional.
Tolerance.
It's very intentional.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I could see that.
It's very intentional.
I could see that. Right. Because like you said, you're not going in with any judgment.
I mean, you may have judgment. You may have judgment, man.
Yeah. I think as human beings and everything that we do, we have a little bit of
that's necessary for life. Yeah. Because you got to be able to sort things. You got to be able, discernment.
Discernment,
yeah.
right. So, for me, I think discernment is a little bit different from judgment.
Yeah. But judgment kind of ties in. It's like you gotta have we can't avoid it. We can't avoid it. Sprinkled in everywhere.
Oh my God.
It's sprinkled in everywhere. You try your best, but it just is what it is.
I think
and that's accepted.
It is. Right. That it is what it is. I can remember the other day, a lot of people were saying, I don't like using that term, that adage. It is what it is. It's a sign of defeat. Like, you're just letting things just happen the way they are, and whatever the outcome, that is what you accept. It's almost like you're not putting in any type of work into the outcome.
No. Yes and no. Right? You gotta have acceptance for part of the process.
Okay.
So you can find your power for the rest of the process. You know what I mean? You're not in control of everything.
I was gonna say
you're
that.
a part of this.
Yes.
You're a part of this. We're a part of each other. So you gotta find your lane.
Yeah.
You gotta find your lane.
Yeah.
You can't be in everybody else's lane talking about right? So
this is what you gotta accept.
Yeah, you gotta find your lane. And in order to find your lane, you gotta let everybody else be in their own lane.
Right.
So you accept that this person gonna be in their lane, or if they choose to go and be in somebody else's lane, that's them.
Right.
But you find your lane, and that's your power.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
right.
You gotta have acceptance for part of the process, and allow things to be what they're gonna be.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And appreciate it for that.
Right.
Right. And
right.
then you do your part.
Right.
You do your part with the rest.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So doing our part with the rest. While you were talking, you know what was going through my mind? The serenity prayer. Mm-hmm. What is it? Accept the things that you cannot change. Mm-hmm. I don't know the whole thing. Give me the wisdom.
Oh gosh.
I could never remember it. You know,
yeah.
To accept the things that I cannot change and something. Please, nieces and nephews, if you know the serenity prayer, put it in our comments.
Yes, please.
You know, it's, but there's a level of faith, and this is a word that keeps coming up for us also in our past few segments, that come with acceptance. You know, knowing that you're not able to control the situation, right? And I think that, like you were saying, that within itself creates power in ourselves, because it's like you're actually, I like what you said before when you said that you can't control the whole process, right? You have to leave some of the process up to acceptance, because in order to, and I think that is where sometimes we run out of steam on dealing with things. It's because we want to give the same type of energy, the same level of control to every part of the process, not realizing that every part of our processes does not demand that from us. It's something as, like I said before, do you think if we implemented faith a little bit more in how we approached our lives through, you know, in situations that we might encounter, right, on a daily basis, do you think that our appreciation for acceptance would be a little bit broader?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Yeah?
Yeah.
In what way?
Yeah, because, you know, faith is a power in itself.
Right.
You know, like you said, it's that knowing that things are supposed to be, you know, how they are.
Right.
In this moment.
Right.
Right? And it's almost like, to me, it's almost like you have backup. Like somebody got your back, you know? So having that faith is just like, okay, I'm doing my part, and I know things will turn out in the best way possible.
Right.
Because I am leaving this and I'm doing this.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So it's, I think it's a healthier way to approach life.
Okay.
It's a healthier way to approach life, and then you can kind of you can stop trying to do this all the time with everything.
Multitask kind of thing.
Yes, you know, like trying to like a puppet master. Control everything.
Yeah. Spin
Stop
all
trying
the.
yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Stop
all the
trying to
plates
control
at the same
everything.
time.
So it's like when you have faith, it's like you can kind of you can, I don't want to say put your blinders on, but you can focus better.
Yes.
You can focus better on what you have to do.
Right.
And know that, okay, this person or this situation is handled, or this part of it is handled.
Right.
You know, because that's, you know.
Yeah.
It either is gonna be handled.
Right.
And or it's not. And that's, you know, you just gotta be okay with it. Because what else you gonna do?
Right.
What else you gonna do?
Right.
What else are you gonna do? Drive yourself crazy?
Right.
I refuse. I refuse. So I mean, all you can do really is take care of what you can take care of.
Right.
You know,
right.
And have faith that everything is gonna turn out the way it's supposed to turn out.
Right.
And accept. When you know, you can accept the situation for what it is.
Right.
And not feel helpless.
Right.
You know, but like I said, it just to me, it gives me a sense of power to know, okay, I don't have to overwhelm myself with all these things.
Right.
You know, I can just take care of this portion of it, and maybe later on I'll deal with that portion of it.
Right.
But I don't have to be everywhere at every moment, you know, and know everything.
And that's what I like about acceptance. Acceptance puts us in a place of I can remember I was having it puts us in a place of knowing that we don't have to be all these things, you know, at one time. We can actually take our time, you know, in demonstrating that part of ourselves that need to be seen or heard in that particular situation. Acceptance. I have to make a note, okay, in our video. We're not talking about acceptance or anything like that. We're talking about ACCEPTANT. Right? You know, that's a pet peeve for me, people, when we're talking about those words, accept and accept.
Yeah.
You know how many times on social media I just see people spelling it like we're talking about accept. What are you talking about? Accept. No, we're not talking about
this is
exclusion.
the day and age of autocorrect.
Oh,
so people don't have to learn how to spell anymore.
That is not a thing for me.
Well, not for me either, but
I can't accept. Oh my God! I cannot accept that, people. I cannot. I cannot.
It's hard for me too. Sometimes I'm tolerant and sometimes I'm not.
Right.
You know,
right.
This is the time we live in, and I am just working on my acceptance of that.
I know, right? So, oh my God. But like you said, tolerance really, it really gives us a space of easiness. It creates ease.
Yeah.
Right? Because it makes you realize that, you know what? This is this is part of the ride that I really don't like.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what tolerance makes you do. It really makes you pay attention to things that you like, like and things that you don't. You know, it really puts you. It centers. It's almost like it's centering you. Really paying attention to your personality. You know.
Yeah, that's why I say it's very intentional.
Yeah, it builds awareness in a way.
Yeah.
You know, it really makes you become self-aware. Nieces and nephews, you're listening to this conversation. Let us know what it is that, you know, tolerance means for you, what acceptance means for you, how it shows up in your day-to-day lives, you know, the things that you accept or don't want to accept that may contribute to difficulties or easiness in your life. You know, share it with us in the comments. You're a part of this conversation too. We don't want to leave you guys out because we love our nieces and nephews so much. Right, Inwaniki?
Yes.
Okay. No. Oh my God, no, I didn't. Oh my God. But yeah. But it's a very variegated topic, and it's a topic that brings us, sheds a lot of light on things that we do that may not lend positivity to our process, you know, or just things that we may do in day-to-day dealings with each other, you know. It kind of makes us it makes us really self-evaluate on how we could be better human beings. I don't know if
way of others.
Right, right. You know, do you think if tolerance and acceptance was something that we really implemented in our society today, would it be a better place?
Depends on what we accept and tolerate.
Right.
It really does.
Right.
Because there's a lot of things I could say that we tolerate and accept that are not healthy. And then there are things that we should do more tolerating and accepting of, you know?
Really, like?
Like allowing people to be vulnerable and safe.
Right.
We can use a lot more of that.
Yeah.
And I think in today's society, you know what I hate to see?
What do you hate to see? She hates
because
to see
of
this.
because of the society that we live in now, right?
Yeah.
Now, I understand that this does not go everywhere, right? I don't like to see how comfortable young women are exposing their bodies out in public.
Okay.
Because that's not what our society is like. There are some places where, you know, you can be free and half naked and it's not looked at, you know, a certain way.
Okay.
But in this society,
Mm-hmm.
it's very enticing.
Okay.
For the men, and the problem with that is that now all the baby clothes look like crop tops.
Oh,
and
wow.
sheer and like it's just that I cannot accept.
Okay.
That
okay.
I cannot accept. When I see women and their children, their little girls dressing half naked, I just
like grown woman kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know the it's not seen as anything wrong because the mothers are dressing like that.
Right.
Right. So they dress their daughters like that.
Right. Right.
Toddlers and young children.
Yeah.
You know, wearing things that are so tight, things that are exposing so much skin. It's like that's so unnecessary. Why are they even making clothes like that?
Right.
For that age group.
Right. Right.
That is something that I don't even want to work on that. No, I'm not accepting that. I'm not accepting that. So, I'm not accepting that.
Yeah. So you think, and this is where I guess would we say it's a negative aspect of tolerance?
I would say so.
It's a negative aspect of tolerance.
Because our society is not built like that.
Okay. Do you think that the other day I saw on, I was discussing with my friend up to yesterday. Do you think that there is a level of intolerance and unacceptance that's embedded in our society, that we experience in our society? And I'm asking that question because we're talking about acceptance and tolerance, right? Mm-hmm. But there's a duality to that, right? Mm-hmm. There was something that I saw on social media the other day, just to preface my question with. Mm-hmm. A young lady who seemed to be of Muslim origin. I don't know what country she was in, but there was an incident that happened where she got reprimanded physically for doing a TikTok video. And I guess she did the TikTok video without being covered. And when we say without being covered, her arms, just like how my arms are showing right now, were showing. And she did not have on headdress, her hijab. And her brother reprimanded her by beating her physically, right? And she posted the aftermath of that beating, just like how she posted her TikTok video. She posted a side by side before and after, right?
Yeah.
And the results of that beating was really something to think about, because you're thinking of what she might have endured. It's very visceral as far as the visual.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm saying all this to say that in the video there were comments about people really comparing the constructs of culture to Islam, the religion. And there were people saying that no, this is not Islam, this is culture, you know, but she's a Muslim, and she does have she comes from a Muslim family,
Right.
and the person that reprimanded her and almost not almost, but looked like if they wanted to kill her, because in the video there were Muslims coming on there saying that he should have done the honors, and that phrase was equal to them saying that he should have killed her.
Right.
So I'm saying all this to show that there is a level of intolerance and unacceptance that is very detrimental, you know, to the fabric of who we are as human beings, right? So yes, while tolerance and acceptance allows us freedom, guess what? Intolerance and unacceptance does the other thing. It does not, you know, from what I'm describing, it does not allow us to experience growth. It does not allow us to have our own experiences.
Well, see, there's a balance, right? Because I feel religion is a guide,
right,
to help us to be our best selves on, you know,
right,
while we're interacting with each other and within, right? So, yeah, there's a balance. There's a balance that we should all, you know, just like homeostasis in the body, like we should all be working toward, like, trying to maintain, you know, a healthy balance of things.
right.
For me, that's definitely extreme.
Right.
You know.
Right.
That's extreme. But yeah, I do agree. There's a level of intolerance and unacceptance that can be, you know, dangerous and detrimental.
Right.
To us.
Right. Definitely. And I think where that comes from, and I'm just talking from my own experiences as a human being, I think we get to implement tolerance and acceptance based on situations that we kind of feel comfortable with. So sometimes I feel there's a little bit of manipulation that goes along with using tolerance and acceptance, because it seems as though we tend to implement those principles only when it's suitable for us, as opposed to intolerance and unacceptance. It seems as though we implement those two when we are in rejection of a particular thing or situation.
Yeah.
Right? So it's almost like
you gotta work for
for
tolerance.
For tolerance, and right?
It's an intentional act.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
It doesn't just come. You have to first be aware.
Right.
And then you have to fight your natural, I guess, conditioning or tendencies.
Yeah. Proclivities, all those things.
Be open to learning
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah.
Be open to learning and remembering, like, grace is a thing. You know. Grace is a thing. Like, you gotta give people grace because nobody is perfect.
No.
Nobody is perfect. Nobody's coming with the same lens. You know, nobody has exactly all the same experiences, and so yeah.
Yeah. And I'm glad that we had this discussion, because we live in a society where there are so many new things that are arising as far as social conditioning. People are appearing as one thing and want to be known as the next. There are just so many things that are coming out in our society that is calling for our tolerance and acceptance. And sometimes it's almost, you think like if you're going through some sort of psychosis sometimes, because of the fact that you see things a particular way, and your eye has been trained to see things as a particular way, but then you're being told that no, you have to tolerate and accept this because this is what it is. So it's a very tolerance and acceptance is something where a lot of deprogramming takes place, in a way, because or things that
can.
yes,
it can if you allow it.
Right.
Things. I don't think that's automatic though.
It's not.
I don't think it's automatic.
It's
well, actually, I think maybe it depends on your age.
Right.
Maybe your personality plays into that
level of understanding.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily automatic, but yeah, I think it opens the way to that.
It opens the way to deprogramming, right? Yeah. So this was another one of our great conversations. Nieces and nephews, please give us your insights on what it is that you're receiving from our segments.
Join in the conversation. Continue the conversation.
Yes, please. Okay, conversations don't end. When you see us end, they they avalanche.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes,
they really do. We get all these ideas when we finish our conversations. But please, we're asking that you continue. We're asking that any tidbits, any golden nuggets, any valuable takeaways that you get from our segments, please feel free to share them. If you know that there is someone who is in need of the information that you get off of our streams, don't be afraid to share them. We want everybody to have this information. We want everybody to live their fullest lives. I ain't gonna say their best life. That's too cliche. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just want people to live, and just put anything that you might want to hear us discuss, any topics that you think we might be missing, or any topics that you think you might want to get clarity on or bring to the forefront. Please feel free to put them in the comments and we will definitely go through them. Like we said, our voices are not the only voices that we want to be heard on the panel. Yes, we want you to hear us, anyone that's on our panel, but we also want to hear your inputs, nieces and nephews, okay?
Yes.
Right? So please feel free to like, comment, of course, share the information, and subscribe to our channel. And by doing what in order to subscribe? Our favorite part?
Banging the bell.
Bang that bell.